Last weekend, I did my first Wonders of the First draft, and holy cow, that was a lot of fun. Howdy, howdy, American Texan here, and I love to talk about trading cards, specifically Wonders of the First, and the game that is just blowing up in 2025 and gonna blow up even more in 2026. This weekend was my first draft, in fact, many people's first draft, because draft in Wonders of the First is something that hasn't been specifically nailed down. I think the way that the packs are created is great for sealed. Of course, it's great for collecting and pulling for your decks. But the way the packs work with the token cards, it seems like it's still being figured out. And I don't blame the team for trying to figure that out and really make sure that sealed is in place first before figuring out the rules of draft. And just the uniqueness of Wonders also introduces some new challenges to draft that I think other trading card games don't have. So I want to share in this video as we talk about not only the experience that I had drafting and show you some of the people that I met and the fun that we had, how draft works, but also some of the unique things that Wonders can bring to the draft environment. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. I try to put out videos covering Wonders of the First, trading card collecting, and just overall the hobby itself of trading cards and board games a little bit. Just to have a place, not only a creative outlet for me, but also some content in case other people out there want to listen along their day on their drive or while they're doing the dishes. I want to just be the content that I usually want to listen to. I want to put more of that out into the world. So thank you for your time and attention. I do appreciate you watching at any time. If I say something you like, hit the like button. All right, so going into draft, it was a lot of fun. We met at Kumarama in Houston, Texas, actually North Houston, Texas, in a little suburb called Spring, Texas. From what I understand, this is a newer shop. It's a boba board game shop. And I don't know if that's the exact description, but that's what I call it to my family. It's a boba shop. They have coffee, they got sweet treats, they got baked goods, snacks, but then they also sell board games, trading cards, and a lot of anime things too. And let me tell you, I am so happy with how busy this place was. The owner and his wife, or the owner and her husband, I don't know who the official owner is, were just amazing service support, getting people their drinks. They made me a custom drink because I wanted sugar-free, but I still wanted it a little bit sweeter, so throw in an extra sweet and low in there. They made sure I which artificial sweetener do you want? Is it good? I mean, it was absolutely enjoyable. They had energy drinks, they had beer if that's your thing, and a lot of great things happening at that shop. And people, again, constantly coming in, looking at anime things, looking at manga, looking at board games, looking at trading cards. People were buying boxes and splitting boxes of the packs of the new Riftbound game that came out. It was an absolute encouragement to see all these young people getting into the hobby. Trading cards is not dead, and to be there and share Wonders of the First with others was also very good too. And I want to point this out. I want to give you this piece of advice because I see a lot of people saying, my shop won't carry this, I can't play. I understand. It's very frustrating not being able to buy the cards for the game that you want from your local shop. However, I do highly encourage you to go to your local shop and play the game there. Play it with your friends there, meet people. You don't have to do learn to plays. Just go and play the game there. That's how you get the word out. I can't tell you how many times someone came by and was looking at our game, was interested, or they knew one of the players that was there and would say, oh, what's this? And they were talking about it, and hey, maybe I'll check it out. Maybe I'll go to the next event, in Dallas or whatever. So just having the game on the table at a local shop can do wonders for not only you to find more people to play with, but also the game itself if you want to help the game grow. So don't wait for the LCS to decide to pick it up, because you're going to be waiting for a long time. A game like Wonders of the First, with just how special this is, really, I think, needs to grow from the ground up. I think you call that grassroots. So by all means, play your kitchen table games, play online on TTS. But if you have the opportunity, go play at your LCS, your local, not comic shop, LGS, local game store, and by all means support them, but also help share the game. So anyways, after I was enamored by the shop, because I was like, I can't believe this is here, and I had no idea. Everyone showed up. We had 8 people for the draft, exactly as many as you need. And then we had to talk about the rules of the draft. Now, for those of you that don't know what a draft is, essentially you open up some bundles and you give everyone playing 4 packs. And this was the first thing that Wonders, I think, still needs to figure out, or trying to figure out, is whether or not you should draft with 3 packs per person or 4 packs per person. You're building a 30-card deck, so you want to have a pool of cards to choose from, because you're not going to get every card that you want. So the question, I think, becomes, do you want people to have 33 cards to choose from for their 30-card deck and not have much on the side? Or do you want them to have 44 cards to choose from your 30-card deck, and then maybe you got 14 cards off to the side that you can choose to use or not? And I think 4 packs was a nice sweet spot. However, with that, I think 4 packs gives you a lot more flexibility to play core. Now, what is core? For those of you that don't know, core in Wonders is a special thing that makes Wonders so unique, is that some cards have the core keyword, which means that you have to have the link to the orbital that Wonder is a part of. So for example, if you play a Thalwind Wonder with core, that means you have to have a Thalwind link, which will most of the time come from a Thalwind land. So when you're drafting, if you have core on, you need to be aware that if you're going to be playing a Thalwind deck, you're going to want to have a lot of synergy with that Thalwind color. If you're not playing core, then really you're just looking for good cards. You're looking for good synergy. You're not too worried about the lands in that situation. With 4 packs that we drafted from, I feel pretty comfortable that I could have built a decent deck with core abilities. And I think most of the decks that I played were going to do well with core abilities. I think with a lot more experience, you can draft a better deck that way. However, again, I do understand that having the core mechanic turned on for draft is much less newcomer friendly. It's another thing that newcomers have to worry about. And it's going to be more cards that they try to play in a game. And you're going to have to say, no, you actually can't play that because you don't have the Thalwind link. And they're like, well, I don't even have any Thalwind lands. It's like, sorry, you can't play that card. I do understand the hiccup there. But again, with 44 cards going through 4 packs and you get to choose the cards there with a lot of selection, I think with 4 packs drafting, I think core needs to be on because you have so much selection. So I think it needs that extra challenge for the draft. But if you have 3 packs, definitely core off for a 3-pack draft. So after we drafted, we played our Swiss tournaments and our Swiss rounds, and that was all we did. But we played through those and we had our rankings, and Wicked, who came with a lot of product, gave out packs to the top 4 place, I think the top 4 placing. And I was very excited. My only loss of the day was to Mocha Mo. He is my white whale. Sneaky is Capricorn's white whale. I think Mocha Mo is going to be my white whale. And the great thing about this game, the camaraderie that we have, the community that we have, is that Mocha Mo is one of the best trading card players you'll play. He's also one of the nicest. Every time I talk with him, I meet with him, I learn something. I feel better about myself. I become a better player. He's very encouraging as well, and just opens your mind to just how much fun, but also how deep the trading card games can go. Let's go to the table. I'm going to do hands-on. I'm going to use my prize packs to show you a little bit about how the draft works, what it looks like, first-person view. If you've never drafted before, I hope this is very helpful. If you have drafted before, please let me know if there's anything that I missed or any questions you have about the draft specifically. I'm sure the Wonders team will be looking in the comments down here to see what people are asking, where their confusion is, because I imagine they want to have draft figured out by the time Call of the Stones comes out. So let me know your thoughts if you've tried draft before, and let's go to the table and see what that looked like. All right, so here's a quick rundown of how drafting worked. And again, just to reiterate that this was more of a test than an actual draft format. I know internally they're still testing. Wicked actually gave me something specific to say. He said, hey, if you talk about the draft, make sure you mention this. And honestly, at the time that I film it, I don't remember what it was, but I'll put it here on the screen. But the way we did it was we did 4 packs. So everyone got 4 play packs. And if you've never drafted before, I'm going to explain kind of how this worked. I've only done it a few times in the 2000s with my friends at a kitchen table. One of the best times I've had playing trading cards. But if you have drafted before, you'll spot some of the familiar things that we did. So the first thing is everyone opens their pack and you go through and you take out your token or your double-sided thing there. This does not get drafted. This just stays in front of you. It is just a land. Now, as far as lands are concerned, they did have a land pool, which is just free lands for anyone that needs it for their deck. And you could use, obviously, the lands that you draft from the deck. You could use the token that you pull, or you could just go and get some lands. And in fact, even like for the game, I was looking through my deck and I was like, I want one more land. And I went and got another Patria land. So you have a land pool. So you don't have to draft lands. You don't have to draft tokens. In fact, you're not going to draft tokens because go back to the very first thing. You're going to take all the tokens out of your pack. So your pack is left with 11 cards instead of 12. You may be asking, hey, what about if you hit the Alt Art Pink Spore? If you hit the Alt Art Pink Spore, I view it as the jackpot. That is the card that you get to keep. You get to keep that card. Like you got the winning pack. That's just a bonus. You don't get to play with it. It's not tournament legal. So in your draft decks, there are no Alt Art Pink Spores. There's no extra Pink Spores possible in a draft pool. Because of the Alt Art, it's just a free bonus. So you get to keep it. As far as I know, I don't think anyone hit an Alt Art Pink Spore in our group. If they did, they secretly put it aside and I didn't hear about it. All right, so then you've got your 11 cards left and you pick a card, right? So when you're starting out, you're just kind of looking at the first pack, looking at some good cards here. And if I was looking at this pack, I'm very interested. Let's take a look at this pack. Cast Out, Koi Scale, Cybernetic Enhancement, Baron, Luminous Medusa, Vampir's Assassin, Demonic Wolfman, Corvus, Shadow Wing's a pretty good one. Let's see, Endless Ram, Emerald Clearing, and Fortune Dealer. So that's a tough pack to start out with. I do like Cast Out. I had 2 Cast Outs in my deck, and Wicked had 2 Cast Outs in his deck. And we got real thin. I think when I finished my game with Wicked, he had 2 cards left. And I was really hoping I could get Cast Out again to try to throw him off and mill him to win that way. Because I've always wanted to win with a mill, and it's very hard to do in this game. Luminous Medusa's, I think maybe, this is kind of hard. So this is kind of good because you can kind of control a little bit more of the board. Koi Skill is a great turn one play. Luminous Medusa can mess up some stuff. But really, I'm also looking at draft. I think what's important is your cost versus power. So having 2 cost, 4 power, I mean, this could be 4 power turn one if you have an Unbreathed Land. I think it's super powerful. This could help you really get solid in the early game so you can set up for the late game. And, again, this is where I just don't have much draft experience because I really want to grab Endless Ram so I know my early game is off to a good start. But also, I don't know what cards are coming. I could play this and have a lot more control of the board, but I may never see a flyer. So I'm honestly thinking with this deck, I might do Cast Out because that's just some more card draw. And it kind of gets me a little bit more information about their deck. So I would take Cast Out, and then you take your deck, and then you put it off to the side. You put it face down. They call it zone drafting. So you put the pack that you just pulled from to your left, to the player to the left, put the card that you pulled in front of you, and we used our tokens to just kind of put it there. And then the next player behind you puts their deck kind of near you. So you have 3 zones. So you pick up from here, you place here for your deck, and then you put here for the next player to take. And you just keep going until you have no cards. Now you may be asking yourself, what about core? The team said that they're still testing it, whether or not to have core on or off. If you don't know, when you do limited sealed, which means you just get a bundle and you try to build a deck with that, they're not doing core because you have no control over the cards that you're coming in. I'll tell you this, after drafting my deck, and I'll show you my deck, it got second place, I think core needs to be on. But for right now, the one that we played, core was off. So I could grab whatever card I want. And I kind of wish I had thought about that more because I think your strategy when you're drafting with core is going to be different than when you're drafting with not core. Obviously, core, you want to be mindful of the orbitals. Not core, you're really just looking at the power, the ability, and the cost. And I think I went too hard on the orbitals considering there was no core. So anyways, I got my card, I put it down, and I'll go into this pack, and I already pulled a card out. So when you get another pack, this one will have 10 cards, minus the token. I didn't pull that one out. So this one will have 10 cards, and this player took out, looks like their foil of any rarity, because there's only 1 foil in here. So this is a common foil, so they probably took out something uncommon, if you want to keep track of what's going on. But anyways, this pack should have everything besides the foil of any rarity. So this one, we've got Numinatrix, which is basically a free shield counter. Quell can really hold people down. Ethereal Warden's kind of a cool lockdown. But again, if we're not playing core, that's kind of tough. We got Indra Citadel, which is a free action if you can play it right. Seer's Gaze, which is pretty nice. Your lands, suggested is between 6 to 8 lands. Card draw is nice, but I think the actions are what wins games in draft, or in sealed, I should say, or in limited. So in limited, I'm going to take the Indras, works with my cast out, and then of course this would have been gone, and we'll put that there, and the next player puts their card back here, grab the pack, all right, and let's see what this player got. Similar deck here. Resonance Reach is nice for the shield. Let's see, we got a flyer here for 5. Portal's pretty nice. Scorpion's Edge, you still have to work with attuned, so you still have to have the land to get attuned. So a 4/5 flyer gives your other angels +2. Probably not going to get any other angels. We can get a 3/4 with a shield to put somewhere. That could be nice. Sequestering Presence is a pretty nice defensive move. Could work if I get out early, but right now I need some bodies because I have a land and a cast out. So I think I'm going to go with Lord Archeol. And this is some destruction to help you defend a realm too. But again, I want to go ahead and get a body. So we're going to do that. Put that there, and it keeps going. And at the end, you'll have your deck. You'll have 11 times 4 is 44, I think. You should have 44 cards at the very end. You're going to make a 30-card deck. And you may be thinking, wow, 30 cards out of 44 cards. For the most part, you picked most of those cards. Now, when you get to the end of the draft, you may have less of a choice of the cards that you had. But you do have, actually, I think, a pretty cool little deck. So I'll show you here my draft, that deck that I made. And of course, you need to bring sleeves. Don't forget to bring sleeves to draft. So these were the extra tokens that I had. This was the cards that I didn't use. Endless Ram, I think I had them in one game and I took them out. Static Shock is a great sealed one, but it's, again, you got to draw them, you got to hold them. I just wanted to see what it was like to not do that. Usually it's an automatic placement. I wish I had Progo. This is what I was saying. I was not paying enough attention without core to the cost and power benefit. And this one has 4 cost, 5 power, and you get a free card draw. I wanted to run him, and I ended up talking myself out of it because he wasn't gelling with the orbitals of my deck, and I wish I had put him in there. Iron Citadel, Catch, Glimmer Bandit, Kaden, Wind Whispers. A lot of these, like this one could be good. I should have put him in my deck, and I didn't. Because again, I was still too focused on the orbitals. And I think if you're not playing core, don't focus on the orbital. So here's my deck. Common Cleaver, I got to put out one time and win a game with it. Ashen Leaf, come on, you put him down, you get the link, and you get a free action, shield your land. And then Caroline was doing a lot of heavy lifting. She comes in and puts a dog in another realm. So she was helping both early and late game. I think she's getting close to an automatic include for me because she can just come in and just add some power to some places. And with her with Quiet Creek, she comes in as a 2 power. So she's 4 power for 1 cost, essentially over 2 lanes. It was kind of like another Eron Sharp Eye. Noctarum was great because I could just cycle cast out if I wanted to use it again. And Pachenko did help me one time with tap ability against Mo. I think that was really, I know that was the one game I lost, but I do like the way that he played. And again, this is what I'm talking about. He's a 3 cost, 4 power, and he gives you an ability. So this one is really nice. And in sealed, a lot of the tap abilities are super powerful. Betrayer was great for helping me get energy. I ended up having an overabundance of energy, so I actually would consider taking him out. Serenia didn't work as well as I wanted to. I have a lot of arrivals on here, so I wanted to use her to portal, and she's a 3/4 body. I think I used her one time to re-trigger a Bella or an Eron or something to reinforce a lane. But thinking about it now, I kind of wish I had Progo, because again, I had an overabundance of energy. Light Forge, you typically play it like you play it. There's one of my cast outs. Another Betrayer, I got another Betrayer. I think at only one point I got both of them out and against Mo, and then he quickly ended one of them because he knew what a threat that could be. There's the other Caroline. Dream Reaver is great in sealed because it's just a good nullify. And again, the combo that I wanted to keep in mind was Serenia. So play him on, if I needed to shut something down on 6, I'll play Dreamweaver, shut it down, and then on the next round, I'll portal it with Serenia. But the problem with this combo is, first of all, it's expensive. It's 8 cost, right? And you're going into round 6 and 7, that's half of your energy already, not counting the stones. And it's 9 power. In a lot of realms, this was overkill. I wanted that 4 power somewhere else. So it's something that you learn in draft, like these 2 cards look good together, but once you're in draft, you only got 30 cards. The hand you have, it's kind of tough. Like, he might be beating me by 6, but do I want to beat it by 9? That's a question you have to ask, which is why draft is a lot of fun. So we got these here. Emerald Clearing, because again, I wanted to get some green lands. You'll see why in a second. Carno Titan is a sleeper in sealed. Mo held an entire lane, an entire game just with Carno Titan Ravager. So he's fantastic. He's an auto pool. Shroom Walker, just again to put down just as a no cost with the Patria Link, no cost, 6 power body. And again, I could Serenia him if I needed to. He ended up coming in clutch a little bit, but I think I used him too much early game because I was too impatient and trying to be too aggro. I should have used him late game a little bit more. Mystic Albiala helped lock down a game against someone that really wanted to play a Tempest Bomb. He was ready, he had it in hand, but I had this on the board. He couldn't do anything about it. And so using Tempest Bomb would not have helped because I would have just tapped and gotten rid of all the tokens that he made. So that was unfortunate for him. That was one of our newer players. Then I've added some lands because you'll see here, we got Master Ferret on arrival, untapped target wonder, and he's attuned. This one, unfortunately, did not come in handy. I wish I had swapped this out because while I would have liked to have untapped wonders, I had some stuff that I could tap and use their abilities. I didn't have enough. And at 4 cost and 3 power, he is too expensive, even with the free action. So I wish I had taken these out. Master Ferret was a little bit of a disappointment in this deck. We got some more lands, and you'll see why I have some more lands here in a second. Dealmaker is an auto-include. He's fantastic and kind of just makes someone have to put pressure in a lane they already got. Tony here was awesome because I would try to hold a land as long as I could, bring him out. And again, 3 cost, 4 power, 2 cost, 4 power with attuned. He's an absolute bomb in sealed, and he was great to play. I did add an Ethereal Enigmas later on. I didn't have him in my first half of the games, maybe even the first, up until the last game. But, I needed more power on the board after I realized that that's kind of where this deck falls short. And then, of course, Eron, Starburst, if I needed it, came in handy against a game with Wicked. And then, of course, another Master Ferret, which again, was not ideal. So I think next time going into it, if you're doing sealed with no core, the most important thing I think you need to look at is the cost and the power differences. So again, this is a great ability. It's a fantastic card. It's a free action. You untap another target wonder. If I had untapped my Ashen Leaf, it would have given me a +2 actions for 3 cost. But I never got that out. This was just a waste. And only 3 power. I just held this all the time. So it was not the best. But cards like Carno Titan Ravager, where they have an insane ability, 6 power can hold a lane on its own. It only costs 5. And they basically have to put 2 things down or try to deal with this it can hold a lane itself, which is a really great card. So if you're not playing core, don't worry about orbital synergy too much. Just get good cards. Or get cards you think that are going to really up the power. And that's where this deck fell short and couldn't beat Mo, was that I just couldn't put enough power on the board. I had enough synergy, but not enough power. So that's my draft deck, and that was my draft experience. 100%. It was fantastic, and I absolutely enjoyed every second of it, and I already can't wait till my next. And I didn't mention it, but yes, you do play a full game of Wonders. You're not playing in 5 realms. You are playing in 7 realms. You are playing a timed match, so you do have to keep that in mind. I am very excited to practice some more, and I hope to get some more draft games under my belt. I don't know if they're ever going to do it in digital. I'm sure that's hard to do digital. It's one thing to just say, hey, make a 12-card pack with 5 random commons, 2 random uncommons. And it's one thing to build a program that does that. It's another thing to do it in a way that matches the way the packs are actually stuffed. I think that's something that, I imagine is not that's something the team wants to share. You want to keep stuff like that, those industry company specific secrets to yourself, and the way that you pack packs and collate the different cards together, I imagine is something you don't want out there in the wild. So I don't blame them for not doing a digital version, but I also recognize that if you just build a program that just grabs random cards, you're not going to get exactly what's in a pack. It's still good practice, but it's not exactly what you're going to have at the table. So that was the highlight of my week. And of course, we had Christmas. I had some great gifts. I got a lot of board games, a lot of card games. I'm not going to share them with you here, but if you want to see those, maybe I'll do a year-end wrap-up of all the card games and gifts that I got. I got a lot of Marvel Legendary sets that I got that I was very excited to see. Last thing, I got one thing in the mail, so we'll do one quick mail day, but it is a big one. Not quite as big as the Stones last week, but it is a very good one, a chase that I've been chasing, and it's another whale off my list. All right, and today, or this week, we only got one trade. It was Christmas week, and so of course it's going to be a little bit slower. Everyone's with their families, but I got something here that is huge. It was almost kismet, the fact that he had this card and I had a card that he wanted. And this trade was with Crisco. I believe he's newer. I see him on the Whatnots a lot. He's collecting a lot of OCMs and formless foils. And I happen to have a pack pulled Divine Bloodbearer that I got from a prize pack in Vegas. And he happens to have one of the formless foil mythics that I need. And he needed my Divine Bloodbearer and I needed his. Now this one is worth a little bit more, just a little bit. So I ended up doing my Divine Bloodbearer plus cash. Not only because this is also a more beautiful card, I'm getting closer to finishing. So I'm willing to risk a little bit more with that. But we finally got a formless foil Witch Warden. This thing looks amazing in formless foil. This might be one of my favorite formless foil lands. I love formless foil lands. If I had more ability, I would collect all the formless foil lands because these are just absolutely gorgeous. And this is another one. I want to get a canvas for my office that has the art of one of the lands. Right now I'm thinking Wave Whisper Bay, but this is another one. If the colors look better, I might do this one. This one is so cool. So thank you, Crisco, for this. My only trade for the week that came in. I believe it came in the day before or after Christmas. And I am just super excited and over the moon. And to have this shipped in a mag case is great because I think I shipped mine in a mag case too. So that was awesome. I am down to now only needing 3 mythic formless foils and 1 epic formless foil. I know that's a Grail Heart. I believe the other 3 I need are Desolation, Bear Balthorn, and Raoul Lightman. I think those are the only 3 mythic formless foils I need. If you got any or are willing to trade, let me know. If you can let me do a pay in 4, I can maybe do cash. But I got a few other things I can trade too. But thank you, Crisco, for that. And that was my only trade of the week. I am so excited to have that Witch Warden. And yeah, it looks absolutely gorgeous in person. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for your time and attention and following this channel and just giving me a creative outlet and a way to meet new people. I appreciate every one of you, every view, every minute, every second means the world to me. If you like this video, subscribe if you want more content like this, and I'll see you all in the next video. Adios.